Welcome back, Milford, to MPS Talks, and this is one of my favorite ones that we do each year. And I know, as you've heard many of us talk on this show, the superintendent's updates, and anytime you've been in the school, we talk about our students as well-rounded students, working really hard in the classroom. Today we're going to talk about working really hard on the athletic field and also putting all of those skills together. And one of the programs that we have here that our athletic director, Peter Boucher, started was our Captain's Leadership Academy, and that is what we're going to focus on today. Behind me we have 6 of our amazing captains. We have Athletic Director Boucher here today. We're going to talk a little bit about the program, and you're going to hear from those captains what they took away from the academy and how they're going to implement that into their sports and into the classroom. So we're going to start with introductions. Brendan, can you introduce yourself and the sport that you are participating in and captain of?
I'm Brendan White. I'm a captain of the football team, the basketball team, and the lacrosse team.
I am Nina Pinto, and I am the captain of the volleyball team.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hazard, and I'm the captain of the lacrosse team.
I'm Brianna Maeda, and I'm captain of the volleyball team.
I'm Cassie Probert, and I'm captain of the winter and spring track teams.
I'm Josh Segor. I'm captain for the football team and the lacrosse team.
And you are?
Sorry. Peter Boucher, Director of Athletics, middle school and high school.
You're pretty well known. I guess you don't need the introductions after, what, 5 years here?
5 years, yep.
5 years here, and I know this is extremely exciting to have our athletes here, but what you brought to Milford, not only with your leadership and your vision for athletics and the program as a whole, the Leadership Academy. So before we dive into our athletes talking about some of their takeaways, what was your goals, and give us a little background for people that don't know about this.
Sure. No, really, so I arrived here 5 years ago in the middle of the year. I came in November. So I was able to, I missed the fall, I was able to see the winter and the spring. And one of the things that I had, and you and I have talked about this before, both as former principals, is that I really felt that we needed to do something about student leadership. It's not a knock on Milford, it's not a knock on the Hockomock League, it's coast to coast, it's LA to Boston. I don't think this country does a great job teaching and educating our students to be great leaders, great academians, absolutely. So what we did when I arrived is we started to look around, like, where could we go? Could we go to a 3-day, academy or somewhere, or conferences? And we really found out that the only place we could go was to the MIA for a couple of hours, like 3 hours. So that just didn't seem deep enough or extensive enough for what we wanted to do. So 5 years ago, I really paired up with then soccer coach Jay Mastay and Jonathan Rasco, our head athletic trainer, and just said, okay, we can't find it, we're going to build it. Let's put it together. Started with 2 days and just really started to work on the 2 goals that we have. And those 2 goals are to establish really a definition and expectation of leadership. What I found at every high school is that if you have 30 teams, there's 30 definitions, and sometimes not even a definition of what does it mean to be a captain, what does it mean to be a leader for that particular sport. And for some of the folks here that are dual or tri-sport captains, it can change. For Whitey, he's going from football, and then he goes to basketball, and then he goes to lacrosse. Well, he needs, in my opinion, there needs to be one expectation and one definition of what does it mean to be a captain. So we've been able to do that. And then secondly, what we wanted to do was really give them a skill set. Having, you and I both competed in, high school and college and whatnot, and I can tell you from being a captain at both levels, not once was I ever sat down and had anyone ever say, well, this is what I want you to do, Pete, in high school. This is the college level now. Here's what I want you to do as a captain. So, we wanted to make sure that our captains can walk away with the skills and understanding what we expect of them. And I hope we're there.
And what is the official name of the program? I often call it Leadership Academy or different things. What do you call it?
Right there. Yeah, we call it, Milford High School Leadership Academy.
All right. So we're going to turn over to some of our athletes. So Ryan, can you talk about some of the something that you got out of the Leadership Academy this year? Because I know you all attended that.
Yeah, I definitely got a lot of positivity out of it, and I thought that positivity is a big part of it, because you want to make sure that your players are ready to go and they're happy, and like they're excited to play the sport every day, and they're excited to come to practice, and they want to have fun.
Awesome. Nina, how about you? Some of the things that you took away.
I definitely took away incorporation and teamwork. When we were doing special activities in the leadership program, you had to work with different captains from different sports, and really listening to other people's ideas and incorporating it. And especially when you're being a captain and like setting an example for the younger kids, like you really want them to feel like they're part of the program and like it's one big team instead of just like freshman team, JV team, varsity team. Like you want everyone to feel like it's one program.
Awesome. And how about one more? How about Brendan? What you took away?
I think the thing I took away was by leading by example. I know Coach Boucher is big on a good leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way.
That is
So-
impressive. That's one of our definitions. That's impressive.
There we go.
So I think when younger kids see an upperclassman or a captain who does everything they're supposed to do and goes 100%, then it's really easy to follow them. So I think that my biggest takeaway from the camp.
Awesome. And were you happy with the way this year turned out? Were you feeling like it hit the goals that you wanted?
In all honesty, I think this is the best leadership academy we've had. I think we've improved every year. You know, you were speaking in one of the symposiums yourself, and I think with the leaders that we had come in, our coaches and some of our experts coming in to present, and I think what they took away and the enthusiasm and the commitment of the kids that showed up and really said, I want to get something out of this. I honestly, I know it's cliche, but I feel like this year was the best year that we've had. I really do.
Awesome. So Brianna, was this your first year?
Yeah, this is my first year.
Okay, so you heard some of the takeaways. You went through it. How are you going to incorporate, if the three of you could answer, those skills into the sport? What sport did you say you were captain of?
Volleyball.
So how are you going to incorporate that into the sports that the three of you are captains of?
So the girls volleyball team has their own motto, one team. So pretty much what Nina said, on and off the court, we go to like other games together. Like the past years, we've been going to the football games together at night after we get home from like a late bus ride, just to catch like even the end, just to support every other team that's in our school.
Awesome.
So for both track teams, we have obviously we have a lot of kids, so I think definitely being able to bring positivity, but also make everyone feel like they're one team. It's an individual sport, so making people feel like they're part of a big group is pretty important on the track team to inspire everyone to do their best.
Josh, what do you
So
think?
when you take sports like football and lacrosse, it's a big team sport. So something I took away was goal setting. I think goal setting is huge for sports like that. I think that you can't get really anything done if you don't have something you're trying to accomplish, because everybody should be moving towards one common goal, and it's either, depending on what it is, it can be team specific or even an independent goal that you set for yourself. But whatever you're doing, I think that if you set a goal for the team, everybody's trending in the right direction.
Awesome. So I want to hold something up. I don't know if you can pan in on this. Is this the shirts that everyone gets, Pete?
Yes, yep, all of our
And-
captains, all of our presenters, all of our coaches who attend,
That's awesome. And-
special guests.
All right. So this doesn't just happen by chance. Can you talk about how that piece in the community?
How that's grown? Absolutely. Because year one, there was zero funding. We jumped into this and said, I've always said, and anybody out there who's ever heard me speak, I talk about two things, how Milford is different in a very special way. People power and finances. If Milford determines, if you can get people to understand and believe that this is important, they'll get the people power, they'll build something. If you need it built, they'll show up and do whatever they need to do, and they'll put the finances behind it. So in year one, I have to give Hall of Famer Mr. Garth Yon a lot of credit. He stepped up with his company Petro, and he and his company have paid for the shirts every year.
Fabulous.
And we're not talking about $800 every year. It's a lot of money, but
Great.
he believes in it, in the community believes in it.
And not only the financial contributions, you had a lot of other coaches or staff or people
Yes.
speak at the academy. Can you talk about that piece of the community coming together for this program?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, bottom line is none of us get paid. You presented, you put on a couple presentations. We had Emily Abo came in and did a lot of work. Andrew Manini, volleyball coach, came in and did a lot of work. Jay Mastey, who is not even coaching for us anymore, but he's the former vice president of EMC, and he did teamwork and conflict resolution
Great.
for the company. It's just people who believe in the vision and making sure that we give our captains what they need as far as skills and definition of leadership that just come out of the woodwork when we go to do these types of things.
Awesome. And there's a back to the shirt, and I want to
Yes,
talk our captains
sure.
about this. There's a back to this as well that talks a little bit about practice and hard work. So we'll start with the crew behind me. Brendan, when you hear practice hard, win easy, what's that mean to you?
Well, ever since I've been in high school, we've been in the Hawk Mock, and I know Coach Boucher believes it, but the Hawk Mock is definitely one of the toughest leagues, probably in New England, probably the toughest league.
Undoubtedly.
So the culture has really changed around Milford. So it used to kind of be a more lackadaisical, but now practices are like games, and games are easy now. That's the culture we're trying to install, and the way we practice it, you can see it. The intensity, the energy at practices is unlike any other school.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So, Nina, how are you going to bring that intensity and practice into the sports that you're involved in?
I definitely think that if like everyone shows up at practice, like gives their 100%, like is there helping out everyone, even people who are like in need, like it will definitely benefit to our games. Because say I came to practice late and I was lazy and like I wasn't giving my 100%, obviously it's going to show in my games, and I don't want to set a bad like role. Like I don't want to be a bad role model to the younger kids. So I definitely think that, like Brendan said earlier, if you really just like give your 100%, like everyone's going to follow it and you'll win easy as a team.
Excellent. So, Ryan, I'm going to mix it up just a little bit. Still focusing on the practice, what can you do? Because Brendan talked about show, don't tell. And is that what you said? Is that the motto? Show, don't tell?
Know the way, show the way.
Know the way,
go the
show the way. Fabulous. So,
Man.
how are you going to do that when you walk onto the practice field as a captain? How are you going to show the way?
By the relentless pursuit of excellence.
Okay.
These guys know.
Is
They
that
know
one-
the mottos.
so-
They got
so
it. They
the-
live it too.
So that sounds great, and I'm sure it would look good on a bumper sticker. Or what does that mean to you, though? Tell us what that means to you.
It just means that, like Brendan and Nina said, is really working your tail off and, coming into practice every day, first one there, last one to leave, and just putting in as much effort as you can. And, it starts from the captains and it works all the way down to the freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
You want to incorporate everyone. You want them to feel like that they should work as hard as you, even if they're a freshman working up to try to be where you are.
Awesome. Great answer. So another thing I know that we talk a lot about in Milford is how are you going to represent yourself when you're not on the field? Because you're a captain 24/7. If you're, I don't know the process to select captains, but once you are a captain, you represent not only your sport, you represent your friends, your families, and more importantly, the Milford program. So talk about that in the classroom, because I know Principal Otlin will be watching this and does a lot with you. How are you going to be a captain not only on the field or court or whatever the arena is that your sport is, and also in the school?
I would say giving 100% to everything you do, even more, 120%. You should always be working towards a goal and set a goal for yourself.
Awesome.
I definitely feel like in school, most importantly, is to be a good role model. Like social media is so big now, but making sure that we're not posting anything that we wouldn't want the rest of our team doing. We're role models now, and we need to do the best thing for our team inside of school, outside of school, on the field. And we just need to represent our school in a good way, and we don't want to be posting anything that might not be the best. So,
Off of the role model thing, a big thing obviously is school itself. You can't play unless you're eligible to play. So being a captain, you have to hold yourself to the high standard that you're going to hold the rest of your team to. So I feel that if you as a captain have strong academics and you're strong in the classroom, it just goes to show that what the rest of your team should be doing, and that they should too be striving to not only be great on the field, but be great in the classroom and do the best that they can do.
Awesome.
Huge.
And I know you had a couple things you wanted to share. I want to make sure we get that in, or questions you
Yeah,
had.
for sure. I just, you asked a really great question earlier. How did this all come together? It came together with a lot of hard work of a couple of coaches who just really, in lack of a better term, just grew it. But also, I'd love to mention some of the our long-standing supporters. Milford Department of Health really jumped in last year. They saved us. We originally started with 2 days, just fully, academic days. So we're teaching and we're trying to have the captains move around a little bit and have experiential learning. However, we had some help from Lisa White, who works for us and actually is related to Brendan White. And Judy Dagnese, who's our nursing director, really got involved and started working with the Department of Health and saying, we wanted to take it off campus for a day. We wanted to add a third day of just really, adventure programming type of leadership. And we've been able to go to the Hockomock YMCA the past 2 years really because the Milford Department of Health has funded that. This year, Hillview Equipment jumped in and supplemented the Department of Health to make sure that we could take all these guys and gals over there. That's been super important. I definitely want to mention our boosters and our Gridiron Club. I felt, and I'm just be honest, did we eat pretty well? We had pretty good food off the days, right? That's our boosters, Milford High School boosters and Gridiron. They paid for that, and you know that's $500 a day. I don't like to throw that money around and throw numbers around, but that's a lot of money a day to feed, 50, 60 people. But they do it because I think what's happened. You can see from these 6 talking, we didn't prep them. This is their honest answers, and I couldn't be prouder of this group and the entire group that went through the academy and the coaches and our experts that came in to help, because I think we're doing something that is really special. But that's how Milford rocks. That's how we do things here. And I'm going to talk about it tonight. We've got a big meeting with all of our fall coaches, student athletes, and parents. One of my big things I'm going to talk about is it's easy to be mediocre, and Milford's not mediocre. We want to talk about championships. We don't want to talk about average and whatnot like some of the other schools do. We want to be the best, and I feel like we're on a good trajectory to get back to the traditional Milford of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and early 2000s, where that's who we were, and I think these kids are getting us back to who we want to be.
That's great, and I have a couple questions and more questions for our student athletes, and one's around messaging. So you're seniors, you've either been captains for this first year, multiple years, you've probably been part of the program for at least 3 years to earn this distinction. What are some of the messages, and I'll ask the group, the 3 behind me first, what are some of the messages that you're going to give the incoming freshmen? They were 8th graders 2 months ago, and now they want to play your sport, and they look up to you, and they will look up to you. What are some of the messages that you're going to give out or just display to the incoming freshmen or maybe first-year players, whatever grade, to act like a captain, to show you are being a leader? So I'll ask the 3 behind me, and then I'm going to have a different question similar to the 3 behind Mr. Boucher. So what's the messages you're going to give to the new players or the freshmen coming in that they'll watch this and say, I want to go out for that sport?
You want to talk?
Who's first?
So when I was a freshman, I was definitely very scared of the seniors. I was like, oh my God, like they're so big, like they know what they're doing. They're very talented athletes, and I was like, I want to be just like them. Like I want to work my hardest and make my way there. So I definitely think that if you give your 100% and like you don't really care about anyone's opinion, like you just kind of like work for yourself, then you're definitely gonna like make it up there, and you'll definitely be able to become a captain in that aspect.
Awesome. So I know, Brendan, football's probably started already, correct?
Correct.
So what are some ways you welcomed in? Because I know our youth program's pretty large as well.
Yes,
and
yep.
Transferring over, what are some of the things you did as a captain to welcome in some new players?
Well, every summer we run the strength and conditioning program. Every morning, usually the football team wakes up around 6:30, goes to the high school, lifts, runs, and everybody's included. Everybody gets to get a feel of what football is really about and how the team bonds together and how the whole program works pretty much.
Awesome. So I'm going to come back to you, Ryan, now. And so you're lacrosse, you said, that one of the captains, and that's what season is that?
Spring.
Okay, so you have some months before that starts. What could you do for those freshmen or people too that are interested in playing during that time?
I mean, I would definitely say start early to lead. I mean, even if you're a freshman, you can still lead by example. You can still behave in the right way and listen and kind of earn your keep and earn your time. And I mean, this isn't necessarily a sport that I started. I mean, not necessarily the sport I started with, but in wrestling, I had a lot of really good captains, really good kids to look up to, and I had never wrestled before, but I had learned through the years to kind of follow their lead and follow them as captains and model myself as that type of leader.
Great, and I'm gonna shift it over to our 3 over here. A similar question, but I'm going to, as we talk about the Leadership Academy and we talk about you as individuals, we talk about student athletes. We just talked a little bit about goals you have in the classroom and different pieces. What are some things that you could do as captains if you see some of your teammates in the hallways at Milford schools, or maybe even struggling with a class? Or how could you show those leadership capabilities for students inside the walls, not just on the field?
I would say just making sure everyone feels welcomed, even if they're not on your team and still in any program, really anything. Giving them a hand if they need help, if they're struggling with a class, give them advice on how you passed through it. And just pretty much like that. Make new friends with them.
Great.
Yeah, I want, especially for a team as large as track, and I also play soccer, we want everyone to feel like you can go to your captains if you need help. I want people to know that we're like mentors, and we really are there to help people if they have anything going on, whether it be in school or on the field. So I would like for everyone just to be able to come to me and talk to me if they need help in the classroom or on the field, and we can help them however we can.
Yeah, you know, it's always nice to see a friendly face in the hallway, walking through the hallway. I know when I was, you know, a freshman coming into the high school, you know, one of the biggest things was being able to, you know, just the little, hey, what's up in the hallway, you know, remember practices at this time, or, you know, little pasta dinner here and there, you know, being, you know, friendly, like everybody said, is just one of the biggest things that you could do, because it keeps everybody involved. It will keep them involved and wanting to come back, and eventually, you know, trying to fill the shoes that you're in currently.
Awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up. This has been pretty amazing. I have one more question for all 7 of you. Throw a question your way too,
Got it. Let's do
because one of the sessions, I know all the sessions at the academy talked about all the different skills and traits, and I know one focused on goals or things that you hope to accomplish this year as a captain, not just necessarily between the lines or on the court, but you as an individual. We have 7 individuals here who, and 8 including me, I know I can count, but what are some of the goals that you have for the athletics department? I'll have you go first, so because I know this is a question they may want to think a second about.
Yeah, sure.
Then after that, jump in, the 6 of you when you're ready, of maybe a goal that you have for yourself that you hope to accomplish this last year for the 6 of you at Milford and you in your 5th year.
So speaking for the department, you know, my goal really is to take a reasonable expectation to every team, and we talked about that this year. We have 4 goals. It used to be 3 from myself 5 years ago for every single team. You know, we have 30 varsity teams at Milford High School, and I think what I'm hoping that they walk away with each season is which one of these goals are we trying to achieve. And the first goal is make the tournament. I think every single team at our school can and should be trying to qualify for the MIA tournament, which is meaning you have to have a 500 record. If you're playing 16 games, you got to win at least 8. That's not easy in this league. That's tough to do. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2. And we have some teams in the fall that, you know, all of them should be working hard to make the tournament. Number 2 would be to win the Hockomock. And we have some teams that should be striving to win the league. We're going to have some high-powered teams, certainly in the fall, winter, and spring. The third is to win your division in the state. D2, depending on the sport, D1 for like volleyball and whatnot. It's all over the place. You would think it would be all one division, but it's not. We have some teams that should be considering winning the division, and then, you know, the 4th and highest goal is trying to win the entire state. Win your division, and then when they combine the divisions for a state champion, whether it be a team or an individual situation, we do have some teams and we do have some student athletes who should be striving for that. So I think what I hope we've done is we've set the table as far as goals go for each team, and we talk about stretching. That's a term that we use all the time, stretch. So if you're trying to make the tournament, then we're trying to win the Hawk. If we're trying to win the Hawk, then we want you to reach a little bit further and maybe try to win your division, et cetera, et cetera. That's really what I'm hoping, is that we got to work hard and really try to achieve just a little bit more than we think we can.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'll just throw it to the 6 of you. If you could share one of your goals before we sign off that you have entering into this year.
For me, I think it's building up enough confidence so that whatever school I go to next, I can eventually walk on and play lacrosse like I've always wanted to do.
Great.
Cool.
I definitely want to leave, like, it sounds silly, but I want to leave my mark on the program. I remember when I was a freshman, my captains that were seniors, and I remember how they acted, and they really were kind of an inspiration for the next 4 years to try and get here. So I definitely want to be that for the freshmen this year.
Yeah, the goal. Something I have is, you know, you're constantly a student of the game, constantly learning, constantly improving. I think that's one of the most important things, because there's always room for improvement to get better. So,
Great. You're up, Nina.
I definitely agree with Cassie. I really think that leaving your mark on the program and being an inspiration to like the younger kids and encouraging more people into the program is huge. And like I definitely want to bring the leadership skills that I've learned from the program into like my life in school, like ahead of me in college, and just like further on in life too. Just like try to like make a difference in someone else's life rather than just focusing on myself.
All right.
Nice.
Ryan and Brendan, where are you at? All right.
They're bookending it over here. Who's going
I-
next?
Yeah, I kind of have a very similar goal to Brianna. I definitely want to play in college and play lacrosse in college, and it's always been a goal for me, and I hope that I can do it.
All right.
For me, it's similar to Cassie and Nina, leave your mark. I want the kids coming after me to say, when they're captains or when they're leaders, to say, oh, what would Whitey do in this situation? What would, maybe not all the time,
That's a good answer.
but, I really want, to leave a good mark on the community, and people will remember me as a good kid who loved to play sports.
That's great. Well,
Huge.
I want to thank all 6 of you for coming in. Of course, Pete, thank you for all the work that you do. And I hope, Milford community, that you had an opportunity to see these amazing student athletes. And I say that because we did talk about in the classroom, we did talk about on the field. We also talked about leadership. Sometimes we talk about a leader, but they don't have the leadership qualities to lead. And if nobody's following you, you're not really a leader. And I think that's a big piece of what I took from the Leadership Academy. And I hope that you had a chance to see our leaders here today showing their leadership qualities and aspirations, and come on out to the fields, the courts, the ice, the pool, wherever our athletes are, because you're going to see the teamwork, you're going to see the hard work, you're going to see how hard they practice, because the winning is going to come easy. So thank you for tuning in. Go on out, support our team. Make sure to follow all of the athletic teams on Twitter, Milford Schools as well. And thank you to all of our captains. Thank you to Athletic Director Boucher and all those to make this Leadership Academy possible.